Normally here, you're gonna talk to us about this. We're gonna take a sip because we're here to siesta, right? So we're gonna siesta with Tomo no Tomo, and then we're gonna talk about what Tomo no Tomo is. And we're not gonna open up the bottle, so we're going to tell us what we're sipping, and then we're gonna talk about it.
Cool. Awesome.
And we're gonna sip the Oaxacan way on our Tomo no Tomo. Gracias. So this is a cocktail I created. It's made with orange, lime, and a pineapple, cinnamon, turmeric syrup that I created.
Speaking to my heart, we know turmeric is anti-inflammatory. Okay.
All right. So we're gonna do it arriba, abajo, al centro, para adentro. Oh, this is fantastic. You're speaking to me. You have no idea. Seriously, I know by the time this thing is off and people don't know everything about me, I literally have, it's turmeric in water, in the salt water, and that is like my magic drink of the day. Anti-inflammatory, absorb the water into your body. So anyway, that's a free tip for you all. Okay, so now let's talk Tomo no Tomo. How did we get here? What is this all about? And we can just do the short version. Let me just give you the short version first. This is non-alcoholic mezcal. Now, for all you folks, before you kind of start putting nasty things in the comments about how can you do that, blah, 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 I invite you to actually listen first to the whole thing. And then after you listen, if you really feel like putting the nasty comments, go ahead. I am going to delete them, but if it so moves you, please feel free. But I do invite you to listen to the whole process kind of first on how it came about and really kind of understand how Tomo no Tomo got here and what she really means by having a non-alcoholic agave mezcal. Okay, so with that disclaimer, be nice. With that disclaimer.
So Tomo no Tomo, the name stands for I drink, I don't drink. So Tomo means I drink, no Tomo, I don't drink. And I got really used to no Tomo, saying no Tomo every time I was in social situations. And having to say no, it's okay, I don't drink, because just saying no wasn't enough. You would think just no for this round. And so they would ask again and ask again. So when you say no Tomo, then it's kind of like, oh, I get it, you just don't drink. Or when you say no Tomo. And originally I was going to start the brand with no Tomo, but I didn't want to begin on a negative. No, I started with Tomo no Tomo. And originally it was kind of like to be or not to be is a little bit of a Shakespeare inspiration there. You can also think it of like the flower petals when you're like, he loves me not, he loves me, you know. So it's kind of that concept where like the conversation just continues and you haven't made a decision. You don't have to make a decision. You don't have to identify with being a drinker or not a drinker. You can just enjoy this beautiful spirit for what it is.
Okay.
And it kind of erases the whole like, do this, is better if you do this, and what's healthier, what's better for you. I'm not telling you anything about what to do. I'm just doing the best high quality product that I can create and explaining what's behind it.
Okay, so we are going to start from the beginning. How did we get here? How was the idea conceived?
Yeah.
So we know that you're not drinking, but you're thinking what?
Yes, I'm not drinking, but I still have friends in the mezcal and tequila group. Still making salts for people and still thinking about partnerships. And I would always go to these palenque tours, and I'm just that salt girl walking around with my salts to collaborate. And I'm like, there must be more than me just tagging along and not drinking the beverages, because I get to learn about the entire process. I get to meet the producers. So I just thought like there needs to be something deeper here. And since I'm not drinking, but I still have to participate in this culture of like, people drink mezcal as a handshake, right? Like,
yes,
the taxi driver has this mezcal brand. The laundromat has a mezcal brand.
Everyone
has one.
Yes,
so
yes.
You got to have something to bring to the party, right?
You do.
So I thought, if this is what I'm going to drink, then let's do that. And I went on a mission and decided to find who could produce this for me.
Okay, but I was thinking about like really at the beginning. How come you thought that there was even a way to make mezcal non-alcoholic? Like, how'd you know that?
So I was still teaching cocktail classes. I would go back to Toronto pretty infrequently, like maybe 2-3 times a year. I try to get there in the summer so that I can teach cocktail classes on patios at certain bars that I knew. And I started to introduce non-alcoholic cocktail classes. And this is kind of the beginning of the sober curious trend. And some people were cool with it, some people were not. So we ended up doing 2 alcoholic drinks and then a third one non-alcoholic, just to introduce that and also to get new partners to invest in the classes. And so I got really involved in a lot of new upcoming non-alcoholic brands. No one has really done tequila and mezcal, but they were really great with gin, whiskey, rum, and other spirits. So I thought, okay, there's opportunity. Not that there isn't any non-alcoholic agave-based products, but they're just not done well. So like nobody's talking about it, and that's a whole category of spirits. So I might as well do that. And I'm in the heart of mezcal in Oaxaca, so I'm with the experts. If anyone can figure it out, it's got to be in this town.
Yes.
So it was another reason to stay here. Again, to start setting roots, starting to build a community, starting to build my own qualification to validate this.
Okay, so you realize it's possible. So what's step number 2?
Find someone to do this, because I learned from before that I wasted a lot of time with my food chemistry. I mean, it was great learnings, but I'm better with different things.
Okay.
And so I think that's like when you upgrade and you learn that there are some things that you're good at and there's some things that you're not good at, and that's when you learn to hire people and start to actually be a real boss instead of just doing everything scrappy by yourself.
Okay.
And so I was looking for producers that would create a non-alcoholic mezcal. I had no idea what the process was, and everyone was like, can't be done. Or we can burn off the alcohol, but I don't want to burn off alcohol. I don't want to burn off good mezcal.
Yeah.
Use it, drink it, enjoy it.
Yes.
And why would I waste 50% of that, right? It's 50% alcohol. That's going to take that away from a perfectly good product. So I wanted a non-alcoholic to begin with, but I also didn't want any preservatives. I didn't want any chemicals, weird ingredients that are in a lot of other non-alcoholic spirits today. And that was my biggest problem, I think, like in my vegan journey. I really didn't like the taste of mock meats. So I would do things like the jackfruit oxtail instead of buying oxtail or whatever that could look like.
Yes.
And it'd be full of whatever preservatives just to taste meat-like. And I thought, well, do I really want it to taste meat-like? Or do I just want it to be flavorful, right?
Yes.
Like, we flavor everything with spices and herbs. So why not do the same thing here and just use plants? And so why do I need chemicals to create an alcohol burn?
Okay.
Maybe we don't need an alcohol burn. And so one of the biggest innovations in Tomo is that there isn't a fake bite. A lot of other brands have a fake bite, especially for tequila and mezcal, but I think they also don't really know what a good agave spirit tastes like, because if it's good and well done, it doesn't burn.
Okay, you have to talk to the people like me who just try to drink good mezcal and nothing else. So what is a bite? What does that mean, fake bite?
Like that harsh burn that you get when you swallow. And that's why you have to...
I hate that burn anyway, so that's why I don't know what that is. I don't do the burn.
Yeah, you have to use salt and lime to cut that and everything, right? And so some people just like, from smelling tequila or mezcal are already like, oh my God, I'm going to throw up, you know?
I can't. I actually cannot drink probably 80% of the mezcal out there, because the second I smell it, my stomach says absolutely not. You've got to go. So,
and that's just bad distillation. And so like one problem is bad distillation. The second problem is just adding in really bad additives, like caramel color flavor, like whatever things, just to beef up the product so that they can use less resources. And so even though everything is 100% agave, there might be other things in it that's making the product not exactly 100% agave. But they're technically not allowed to say that. So
yes, well, rewind even talk about it. Okay, so you eventually find a producer, a Oaxacan producer, presumably, or no?
No, I found a food scientist.
Oh, did you? Okay.
An American food scientist who also wanted to live in Oaxaca. So I think we had the same life dream. We want to settle down here. We want to set up some roots.
And I'm sorry, I'm going to just drink some more of your cocktail, because this is actually pretty good. Like, I'm not even just saying this. It is actually really good.
Yeah, and so my chemist name is Matt, and he originally is from New York, but flies back and forth between here and Florida, and he's basically a consultant for all types of spirits. And he used to make cannabis-inspired spirits. He makes non-alcoholic spirits, and he was really inspired to make a non-alcoholic mezcal. And with all the rules that I had, I wanted local ingredients, I wanted it all natural, no preservatives, and I wanted it de-alkalized from the beginning. So I did want a de-alkalizing process afterwards. I did want to do like a steam process where it's kind of like essential oils. Like I knew, and I did my research for all the other existing ways that people de-alkalize to create something totally innovative.
Okay, so Matt talks to you about the process, but now you still have to get agave, right? So how do we do that?
So he works with a lot of farmers here. He visits a lot of palenques. He knows a lot of mezcaleros just by talking about drinks and being really enthusiastic about that. So one of his friends gave us tobalot to work with. And so usually we would roast a huge, like 1,000 kilos of agave. Normally aspirin. In Tomo we're using tobala. And so we would just take like about 50, 100 kilos out of their production because it'd be kind of a waste to produce it just for us, like a smoke amount. And so what happens is you need like 5 to 10 men to like dig up a hole, smoke it, and put a tarp over it and let it smoke for multiple days. Right? It's a very laborious activity. And we go to a palenque and we participate and we help them put it together.
So when you say participate, you physically
like dig up the hole, right?
Okay.
You dig up the hole, you like
digging,
throw the pinas there, and then you lay the tarp out and you let it smoke. And it's very, again, it's community driven, right? We all eat dinner together afterwards, right? And celebrate and have conversations. And then after that's done, we have our own sporadic fermentation process where we basically ferment the product up until it turns into alcohol. So we're always controlling it to make sure that it doesn't turn. Then we stop the fermentation process, and then we mash up the agave, and we distill it in a traditional still. But we have a custom still that we built because the herbs and spices, we have about 14 of them. Some are dried and some are fresh. And so just to prevent burning, we've customized the Alchemy a little bit just to make sure that nothing is going to burn. And we've also created customizations where we can like check on them instead of like just hoping for the best. So most alambiques, like you put the burner on and then you just hope for the best. And that's why some things burn, sometimes the distillations don't go through, and that's why like you get that extra ethanol and it just doesn't work well. So just ways to control the process along each way. After that, we add in a few other things. We have some smoked pineapple that we make. We also have a pulque reduction that we create. And this is kind of like the glue that puts it all together. And the only bit that we add is like the tiniest amount of vegetable glycerin and baking soda. Again, these are just totally normal, natural products to give you a little bit of a mouthfeel and thickness to it. So it's not like agave water or flavored agave water.
First of all, I'm exhausted right now. Not really. I'm about to pass out because I'm like, wow, this is a massive amount of work. So this was definitely not a business where you came along and said, look, I'm just trying to do something easy. No. Because none of this sounds easy. It sounds worthwhile. So I want to talk to you about some criticisms. Okay. So I was on Facebook the other day. I don't even know what we're supposed to call it, right? Facebook Meta, who knows? And I happened to see Amanda, and I'm like, oh, I know Amanda. And it was a really nice post. And then I started reading comments. I'm going to stop reading comments because those folks are not nice, some of you guys. And one of the criticisms was, why would you take a perfectly good tobalab that's supposed to turn into a, presumably good mezcal, and then take the alcohol out of it, thereby ruining mezcal and what mezcal is supposed to be. So how do you respond to that kind of criticism?
There's a lot of agaves that are turned into agave syrup. Are you also going to give me the same criticism for that? Where that agave is just used in cooking and in other products. It's a plant, that we use for other sources. With tobala, it's a little bit of a rare spirit, so it takes 8 years to mature, but it isn't one of the super rare dying breeds. We're also working with sustainable farmers. We're not like taking out millions of tobala and making it extinct. We're not hurting the environment in any way. Actually, we can make twice the amount of Tomo no Tomo than the amount that you would make in actual Tobola mezcal. So there's a lot more product water wasted in a traditional mezcal production, whereas we have found ways to keep and retain our water, make double the amount of product, and have it non-alcoholic so that people that can't drink or don't want to drink alcohol can enjoy it. So actually, I think we're offering more availability to enjoy the spirit and to enjoy Tobola specifically because it's a little bit out of the norm. Most people, especially in America, might only know Espedy.
Okay. And I should say as a disclaimer, and not just for those who can't or won't drink, she is totally right. In Oaxaca, a little bit of mezcal is like saying hello. So if you say hello to 4 or 5 people by 12, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, you've got a problem, right? So this is the time where Tomo's humble. This is where I have this. Obviously, I'm going to have some guests as well who probably don't want to be drinking along at 10 o'clock in the morning. So we will be siesting with Tomo no Tomo here when we're not siesting with other mezcal. But even the mezcal, I tend to stick to ancestral and very specific mezcal. So I'm kind of with you on the sustainability. And sustainability is really important to me in the sense that it can't just be a word. You know, it's almost a lifestyle. You know, when I went to your house, I was like, should I flush the toilet? I was hoping you said no, you know, and it's like I know for myself, I'm adapting. Right, to what happens here. I would have never, and this I have to credit my daughter 100%. She was like, let's get some buckets for the bathroom, and it seems so basic. And I was like, oh, it's a good idea. I've got 10 buckets everywhere all over my house now, and I'm using this for dishes and to flush the toilet and what have you. So I've totally changed how I view the environment, actually by living here, because you get to experience firsthand what happens when people don't have, and I think what happens when you live in Canada, America, or other places where no one talks to you about the resources, you assume that it's happening someplace else and it'll never happen to you. Yeah. But what we know is, and again, I've got to credit my daughter for this, is it's coming to everyone worldwide. And if we don't think about how we're doing business now, and if we don't make sustainability a cornerstone of every one of our businesses now, we're all going to suffer for that and later. So I say that to you. I hope it's not a setup. I just want to know. So when you say there's sustainable farmers, what are they doing that's sustainable? Like, what are you doing? What's the principle for you to say, okay, this is someone that I can absolutely work with because they are operating in a way that is having minimal to little to no negative effect on the environment?
There's actual certifications that are given out to mezcaleros that are ancestral from the process that they're done, or artisanal based on the process that it's done. And everything else that's more than that would be industrial. And so basically I just don't work with anyone that's industrial. Industrial are like big ass machines, very tequila oriented, but if it's a small mom and pop shop, most likely they're growing their own. And so they would harvest one and then grow one. And that's planned to keep things sustainable and to use the sister species of the existing crop that you're going to take out versus just like chopping everything all at once and then there's nothing to go for another 8-10 years, right? So that's anything like we're cropping every year to make sure that there's something each year. So pretty much everyone in Oaxaca that is going to make an artisanal or ancestral mezcal is going to respect the plant and also want to keep themselves going, right? So then they will plant family. It's just anyone that comes in with an industrial tequila mind is going to come in with like, okay, I'm going to blow up this whole land and then it'll be done in like 2 years.
We're getting in so much trouble on this. This is the second tequila person we do tequila, so I'm so sorry, tequila people. I've said sorry already. I apologize in advance. In Oaxaca, tequila is like a bad word, so just say that in advance. So, okay, another criticism that I saw there, and just so that you can talk directly to the audience, is that mezcal belongs to Oaxacans. So how can you come in and represent yourself as someone who is creating a new mezcal? What do you say to that?
Well, it's not mezcal. We don't write it as a mezcal in any of the verbiage. But we would liken it to a mezcal cocktail, or a mezcal culture event, right? So if you're going to drink your mezcal, it's just a mouthful to say I'm doing the same. With my non-alcoholic distilled agave spirit, it's just a lot to say. So you can just say it's an NA mezcal, or, you know, the same thing, mezcal sin alcohol. We're just doing that. And it actually just offers more availability of the spirit. We can talk about the process the same way that mezcaleros talk about their process. It's not like, oh, I just like grab one from the lab with my like 4 or 5 colorings and flavorings, and you're like, oh yeah, this is it. So
you're actually putting in the work. I mean that. Yeah. So at this point,
it demands respect.
Yeah. If anyone's not clear, the work is happening. The physical labor is happening, and for the most part, you have to be working with all Oaxacan people. I mean, that's because there's no other way to get the process done at this point. And your goal will just, take us, the product. So it's here, it's beautiful, is to export to different bars and places, and for them to be sure about your process as well. So that when people are in a bar in LA or they're in a bar in New York and they see Tomo no Tomo, they watch this and they know directly from the person this is exactly the process they went through. You did something really interesting too. I saw your Kickstarter campaign. We're going to put the link to the Kickstarter campaign. How much more time is there left?
It's done.
Oh, yeah, it's done?
We're done.
Oh, I thought there was more time. Here I was talking about we're going to put the link and press the button for her. Okay, we'll just buy some Tomo no Tomo then. Don't worry about it. I thought your Kickstarter campaign was fantastic. I loved the video. I loved what you shared with people, and I could see your marketing background in it. Is that one of those things that you say that, when you were working back with the magazines, they would have said to you, no? Obviously Kickstarter is very community-based, right? It's a community of people who believe. So talk to me about the campaign, I guess the relationship that you're going to have now with some of your backers, because they're going to be doing, I looked at all your little things. I can't believe I thought I had some time. I was like, I need to do a class. So some of them obviously you're going to meet, they're going to come out to Oaxaca, so talk to us about that.
Yeah, the Kickstarter for me is a no-brainer because I understand consumer-based marketing. It was difficult for me to talk to investors because they have an investor's hat on, and I didn't know what to tell them because I'm so consumer-minded, and I don't know how to speak with numbers or in ways of return, and how are you going to believe me without giving me the chance to show you, right? And so I was advised not to do the Kickstarter for many reasons, saying that it's best to get funding from a proper source first, or to get your investors in, and all these other things, right?
The people are proper,
right?
Shame on those people saying that.
And saying that should be a last resort. So it was a last resort, We were talking to a very large distributor who has an accelerator program for founders, and we were talking to them for a year. And I did everything they asked. They wanted proof of price. I got 3 buyers from 3 different retailers in America. They wanted to prove sustainability. They wanted to see the growth plan. They wanted me to get the bottles ready. Like all of these stages I had to do before a lot of the other people in the cohort had to do. So I'm like, why am I doing all these extra steps and I'm still not invited into the cohort to pitch? And so I thought, okay, I'm just going to have to accept that they're pulling me along, and this isn't going to work out. And so I'm going to do what I know how to do, which is speak to the people. And so that's what I did. I created the Kickstarter, and it was meant to explain to every normal person where I'm coming from, what we're doing here, how is it different. And at first it was like an uphill grind, speaking to every single person that I've ever met in my whole life, including past workers from 5-10 years ago, and I'm super embarrassed because I'm not, said happy birthday to them. I have no idea what they're doing in their life, and I'm like, please support me. And so again, back to the family stuff, my mom calls me and she's like, why are you trying to get people to give you money? What's your financial situation? What's wrong with you? Why don't you have your finances sorted out? And I was like, for the rest of my life, for the rest of your life, for the rest of everyone's lives, you're always going to be trying to make money. And you could do that by doing a part-time job. You can do that by holding your own business. You can do that by begging people on the street. You can do that through Kickstarter. It doesn't matter. You're still finding ways to get money.
That's exactly right.
And so
wait, can we switch to this? Which is that is
right. You're always going to be trying to find money.
Yes, for sure.
And I was like, this is the big leagues. We're trying to make millions. who is going to just give me $1 million? It's a multitude of people that are going to give me $1 million in totality. And so this 10,000 is just the beginning, just to prove that I'm worth more. So that one person has done it, then more people are going to do it. And so at the beginning, I felt really self-conscious. In a few days, we were kind of halfway there, and my mom was like, well, it doesn't seem like you're going to get there. I'm like, it's only been 10 days. Like, give me a break. It's like a 30-day campaign. And she's like, well, if you don't make it, like at day 29 or whatever, like I'm buying you out. Because for Kickstarter, if you ever have tried Kickstarter, it's all or nothing. Yeah. So if I don't hit that 10K goal, everything's refunded.
Okay. So she was still supporting you in her own kind of way.
So it was kind of like, well, I gotta hit it, or like I can't go home. It was just like super competition mode. And so as the days got closer, I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? I'm running out of people. I started to go on Facebook groups and like Facebook chats, like anything to just like be throwing in this message. And I got blasted the same way, and in the Oaxaca chats and Mexico chats and whatever chats of people saying like, this is a bad idea, like you're doing horrible things, or whatever assumptions they wanted to create. And it was driving me to tears. I was like, okay, what do I have left? And I'm watching this ticking time bomb, trying to get to this number, and I had to, have faith, leave it up to the universe to be like, okay, what's mine is mine, and I can't change that. And so, kind of let that go. I started to talk to a lot of non-alcoholic bottle shops, and what I learned is for these non-alcoholic bottle shops to exist, they need products like me to exist as a shop. For the whole sober scene to exist, they need these bottle shops. They need my bottles. And so I actually got the biggest funding from 2 non-alcoholic bottle shops. And
oh my goodness, we have to see this. Okay, I'm out. I just we're gonna make some more. We are so impressed. Seriously, just press the like button at this point. If you pressed it before, unpress it, and then press it again. So seriously, because we're impressed, okay? And we're going to talk about why we're impressed in a second after we send it here. Because you have to know what's impressive about this.
Okay.
Lead. So what is so impressive about this is, I know Amanda says that she talks directly to the consumer, but she also went to the buyers of the consumer. And it is very rare to have someone do a Kickstarter campaign and understand, hey, let me go to the people who will eventually buy my product as well. That is sheer brilliance. So if no one else tells you, I'm telling you, that is absolutely brilliant. So go ahead, we are listening.
Yeah, and I didn't know that they would be that supportive, and I didn't realize that they would actually have even capital or cash to support me in the big ways that they did. The thing that really hit the goal was I had an interview with Dry Atlas, which is kind of like the main source for anything in the non-alcoholic industry. Okay. And through that interview alone, I had 3 big tickets, gold reward backers, total strangers. I've never met them. They've never met me. They literally off this one article, which was a fantastic founder interview about me. Kind of give them the confidence to believe in me and support me. I've had some really beautiful emails sent back to me since then. Someone in Australia, she's like a marketing major, and she needed to research on Kickstarter campaigns, and so she used mine as an example and asked me some questions. And so it's been great to have an opportunity to create a community, and also just like heartwarming to realize that I might be touching people more than I think I am, and this is beyond me. And realizing that is kind of like, wow, you can put something out in the world and it will touch other people in different ways, and that's the magic of humanity, of living on this earth.
Okay. We're gonna have to end on that, because that was just beautiful. You really embodied the, I always talk about, it's not just sustainable business, but you can have business with a heart. You can have business that gives back. There's nothing wrong with making money. I love what you told your parents. I need to call my own parents. At my age, I'm still making phone calls to them, right? And just understand money is not the root of all evil, because actually money and having resources allows you to help other people and help change things and have more resources. And if you can bring the community together with you, that is just pretty incredible. And so I really want to thank you for taking the time to talk to me, talk to us, explain how you came up with your business, and just share with people that there are a million different ways to do business. There's no one path for anyone, and actually the right path, the best path is your own.
Exactly. Yeah.
So we will, alas, arriba, abajo, al centro, para adentro. Excellent. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Siesta with Suki. Thank you again,
Thank you.
Amanda. I will see you all next time, and ciao.